joining us right now, Larry Kudlow. He's the host of the Kudlow Report on CNBC and the Larry Kudlow Show right here on WMAL Saturdays at 7 p.m. And Larry, Happy New Year. This is our first chance to talk to you live from what is now the People's Republic of New York, chaired by Mayor Bill de Blasio. Were you astounded by that inauguration of your brand new dear leader, de Blasio?
Well, it depends. If you expected a Sandinista inauguration, it was right on schedule.
Exactly.
If you expected something a little more mainstream, yeah, I guess you'd be surprised.
A little more American, capitalist free market thinking?
My expectations were more Latino in this one, so no, I wasn't shocked much at all.
Is it? I mean, I'm half kidding, but I mean, your friend, many people in the business community in New York must be really kind of looking over their shoulder now and saying, what is in store for us for the next year or so? Are there actual thoughts of maybe, some of the larger companies moving out of town because it's going to be so unfriendly?
Well, we'll see. I don't think he'll get his tax hike through because Governor Andrew Cuomo is trying very much to be a sort of moderate. In fact, talking about tax reform and even lowering some taxes on business rather than raising them. So I'm going to guess right now, beginning of the year, before any of the politics heat up, that de Blasio is not going to get what he wants. However, I expect him to interfere with Bill Bratton's policing. I expect him fully to interfere with Bill Bratton's policing, including stop and frisk. And I also think this woman who he's appointed as school chancellor has absolutely the wrong ideas on every conceivable topic. She's against charter schools. She's against school choice. She's against merit pay and performance. Absolutely, after the good work of Joel Klein, we'll turn the clock back on education. And everybody knows, I mean, you look at New York City, which has been doing very well, frankly. Bloomberg's not a perfect mayor, but he was a good mayor in general. And this city has got to be hospitable to families and to businesses, and we've done well. And you look at some of the outer boroughs, man, Queens, hopping, Brooklyn, hopping, Manhattan, recovering from the financial crash. Income inequality is exactly the wrong idea. It's just redistributionism. We need growth in New York City. We need growth in New York City. We need lower regulations and taxes, not more. So I'm concerned, but, like everybody, we're going to see what happens and how far this goes.
Now, Larry, I think we could agree that, we could apply the term fat cat to you and to your and you know a lot of fat cats.
I'm a trim 160. Fat cat. Geez, after a back operation, I'm back to playing.
All right, but you got a lot of fat cat friends, and so
I have a lot of successful.
All right. No, but wait a minute, because right now in Washington, the Democrats are all talking about how the fat cats are getting richer and the poor people are getting poorer, and what we have in this country is income inequality, and we got to do something about it, Larry.
Well, look, income inequality is an issue. Sure, it is, but the question is, what's the source of the issue? Is it successful people earning well, starting small businesses, and creating jobs? No. What income inequality has to do more than anything, in my opinion, is the massive cultural problem of family breakup and one-parent families, and then, of course, that leads right into the education problems. That's the problem with inequality right now. That's the problem with social mobility. Yeah, and liberals don't want to talk about family breakup, okay? It's to them, that's their voodoo. They will not talk about it. That is the single biggest problem we have. Go read the stuff from Arthur Brooks, for example, from AEI. Go read a lot of stuff that's out there. Even left-of-center people have acknowledged the difficulties of family breakup. It's like
it goes back to Daniel Patrick Moynihan.
That's just where I was going. My former boss, the last Democrat I worked for about almost 40 years ago, was Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who predicted and worried out loud about family breakup, and that's what we have to deal with right now.
All right.
If you explain to me why someone who does well, starts a business, and earns a lot of money, that person along the way may create 10, 20, 30,000 jobs. How does that create inequality?
Listen,
that creates a rising tide.
No, because he's got more money than the other people have. He's a fat cat. We can't have fat cats.
Yeah, we can't have fat cats. Well, look, if de Blasio wants to test that theorem, again, it didn't work that well for the Noriega brothers, so it might not work that well for him.
Listen,
in New York City.
Larry, this is why we love having you, because here in Washington, everything is looked through the prism of politics. And you may be right, and I agree with you that that's really what is causing the inequality. But here in Washington, you're going to have two sides of this political debate. One side may say what you're saying. Well, the problem is that we have broken families. The other side is going to say these people are starving and they need help, and you don't want to give them extended unemployment. You don't want to raise the minimum wage. You are evil. You are wrong. What's the political view here?
On this point, extending unemployment for, let's say, another 3 months, which is what's, I guess, on the table, although there's only one Republican, a guy from Nevada that's for it. Is that going to go through? Probably. It always goes through. But does that solve any problems? Does that create any jobs? Does that create any entrepreneurship? No. And to think of that as this great salvation, the way my friend Jason Furman and others, it's just crazy. You know what you ought to do? Go back and read yesterday's New York Times, okay? Heaven forbid the New York Times. Larry Kudlow, a friend of mine, economist from Boston University, who is, I don't know what he is, he's a centrist, but he wrote a great piece how abolishing the corporate tax code would help the workforce more than the ownership, because it is, in fact, you and I that pay corporate taxes, which are the highest in the world. Corporations don't pay taxes. We, individuals, pay taxes, and that causes lower wages.
Explain that. It's a pass-through to the consumer, is what you're saying.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. It is nothing but a pass-through to the consumer, and it is damaging to wages, and it's damaging to family incomes. So Kudlow comes up with a suggestion that one way or the other, either take the corporate tax down to 9% and get rid of the loopholes, or just abolish it altogether. That's the kind of incentive-oriented spark that would rejuvenate the workforce, the middle-class workforce, the lower-income workforce. That's where you have to go. And I'll add one other thing to that. In this whole debate about extending unemployment or the minimum wage, look, do not penalize businesses, for heaven's sakes. If you're going to provide assistance to the so-called working poor or marginal poor, then do it directly through the federal budget. Either increase the earned income tax credit or have some kind of direct wage subsidy. Right. They both would be transparent. They both go on the budget. And that would mean that all people, all taxpayers, provide the assistance of a safety net, rather than singling out businesses to pay a higher minimum wage, let's say. And remember, the unemployment extension, somebody's got to pay for that,
right.
too.
It's got to get right. Absolutely. That. All right, trim and fit fat cat Larry Kudlow.
He's not a fat cat.
Well, he is a fat cat, but he's slim.
I don't know fat cat. I know successful people, and God bless.
All right.
Thank you, Larry Kudlow, CNBC's Kudlow Report. Thanks for that. Always good to